الصلاة والسلام على سيدنا ونبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي. اللهم إنا نسألك علما نافعا ورزقا طيبا وعملا صالحا متقبلا يا رب العالمين. اللهم فقهنا في الدين وعلمنا التأويل. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to allow us to benefit from the knowledge of Al-Imam An-Nawawi rahmatullahi alayhi wa radiya an. Nobody's making dua for Ameen for Imam Nawawi. Ameen. This one is secret. This one's secret. Vacation. MashaAllah. So facing the Qibla. You want it? How much are you going to give me? How much does this cost? $5? Oh, here, you can play with it, okay? It is recommended for the reciter to face the Qibla, even when not in prayer. Do you have to face the Qibla in Salah?
Yes.
Of course. That's shart. Is your Salah accepted without it?
Yes.
Huh? Is your Salah accepted without facing the Qibla? No.
Yes.
لا.
كل ما تعرف.
إذا بكل ما تعرف هذا أنت تدخل في الصحراء. نحن let's keep us over here. Do you have to face the Qibla when praying Salah? Yes or no?
Yes.
Yes. If you don't know the Qibla, you still have to try your best judgment to be able to face the Qibla. We're not talking about being in the desert. Let's be here right now. But in Quran, it's recommended that whenever you read the Quran facing the Qibla. You read the Quran, it's recommended that you face the Qibla. It's recommended, okay? This is by Jumhur al-Ulama. The best way, there's a hadith, okay? The best way is to sit facing the Qibla. خَيْرُ الْمَجَالِسِ مَسْتُقْبِلَ بِهِ الْقِبْلَةِ. The best majalis are those, the ones that are facing the Qibla. One sits with humility, tranquility, and dignity, lowering his head. He sits alone to perfect his etiquette and humbleness, like sitting before his teacher. When you read Quran, when you come and read Quran, you come and sit and you read like this. Like the sitting of how Jibreel alayhi salam used to sit, like you're in tashahud. This is the best way a person can sit and read Quran. Let's say, of course, if you sit here for 1-2 hours, your legs are going to get tired. Then you start like this, few minutes, and then you go like this. Okay? It's as though you're sitting in front of your teacher, because the Quran is your teacher, and you're having adab with Allah Azza wa Jal. The more adab you have, the more Allah will bless you and give you knowledge. The more humility you have, the more Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will open doors for you. And look, Imam An-Nawawi says, like sitting before your teacher. But this is only beneficial for the person who sits with adab in front of his teacher. Some students, mashallah, I teach them, he sits like this in class. With his fan also, mashallah, personal fan in class. Is this accepted? This fan is good for the dars. What do you think, Dr. Awad? Sitting in front of your teacher, he's twice your age, and you're good like this.
Unless you're handicapped, no.
This especially. This is not acceptable, okay? So the Imam Nawawi is saying like sitting before your teacher, but this is only beneficial if the student has adab. If the student has no adab, then he's going to be sitting like in front of the teacher the same way he sits. فَأَهَمْ شَيْء adab. You sit with adab when you recite the Quran. This is the most complete way to do so. But if you were to read while standing, reclining on his way on the side of his bed, or in any other way, it is permissible. It has reward. If I'm lying down and reading Quran, is it permissible? Yes. But is it less virtuous than the one who's sitting properly? Yes. The best way to do it is if you're sitting properly with adab and reciting the Quran. If you're doing so lying down and this, that, these are all lesser darajat than the one. Can you pray Salatul Nafal sitting down? Yes or no? Yes. But is it better to pray standing or sitting? Standing. More reward. Of course, we're not talking about someone who's unable to stand. We're not talking about those cases. Unable to stand, someone who's hospitalized, he's in a hospital bed. They have no choice. That's not the conversation here. We're talking about you and I. Let's say I'm okay right now, but I can maybe lie down and read Quran or sit down and read Quran. It's much better for me and more virtuous and more rewarding than if I sit properly and recite the Quran. And then he mentions the ayah that shows that it's permissible in Surah Ali Imran. Okay. إن في خلق السماوات والأرض واختلاف الليل والنهار لآيات لأولي الألباب الذين يذكرون الله قياما وقعودا وعلى جنوبهم ويتفكرون في خلق السماوات والأرض ربنا ما خلقت هذا باطلا سبحانك فقنا عذاب النار. حفظ القرآن test. Dr. Junaid, which surah this is in? No, we just... Huh? What did you say? Ali Imran. Surah Ali Imran. The end of Ali Imran. Surah Ali Imran, of course, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling us here about those when they're doing dhikr of Allah. They do it standing, they do it sitting, they do it when they're lying down on their sides. It's in the surah of Ali Imran. Why? Surah Al-Fatiha, you say, Ihdina Sirat al-Mustaqim. Allah tells you, what is that Sirat al-Mustaqim in Surah Al-Baqarah? In Surah Al-Baqarah, He tells you, He lays out the path, this is Sirat al-Mustaqim. And He say, Ulaika ala hudam. Who are those people, Ya Allah, who are upon guidance? Ali Imran, the family of Imran. Who is Imran? The father of who? Maryam. وَمَرْيَمَ مِنَةَ Imran. We covered today in Fajr al-Quran, from Alusi and different books of tafsir, that she died without getting married. And so who's going to be her husband in Jannah, inshallah? Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. نقله السيوطي. Imam Suyuti mentions this, okay? The Asiya and Maryam, alayhim as-salam, they're going to be wives of who? Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Allah's honoring them for what they went through in the dunya. Allah's going to honor them in Jannah, inshallah, by being married to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Ibn Juzay, he says, هذا يفتقر إلى نقل صحيح, meaning that there's no strong hadith in this, but عسى ربه إن طلقكن, عسى ربه أن يبدله أزواجا خيرا منكن. So عسى, only Allah knows. We'll find out then, inshallah.
Who will get the invitation?
Who will get the invitation to what, the wedding? Yeah. I don't know. That's a walima I didn't attend yet. He said, who will get the invitation to the wedding? I said, inshallah, when I get the walima invitation, I'll let you guys know, inshallah. Good question. So Ali Imran, that's the story of it. Okay. It is established in a rigorously authenticated hadith of Aisha radiallahu anha. She said that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he would recline in my lap reading the Quran whilst I was in my menstruation. Okay, whilst she was in her monthly cycle. So Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, there's a few points to take from here. Can you recite the Quran while lying down? Yes, because the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam was lying down. Okay, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam was lying down while reciting the Quran. Is a woman who is in her monthly cycle najis? According to Jews, yes. According to Jews, when the woman is on her monthly cycle, she's completely separated. The utensils she uses separate. Everything she does is separate. Muslims, do we believe that a person becomes najis? No, you don't become najis. This monthly cycle doesn't mean you're najis. Okay, she's a person. She's a dignified human being. The Jews believe this. The Orthodox Jews. Okay, but the only thing, no salah, no siyam, no touching the mushaf. That's it. The Prophet ﷺ was lying down on her, So there's a few points there. Seeking protection, and doing al-isti'adha. Doing al-isti'adha. Say with me, al-isti'adha. What's al-isti'adha? A'udhu billahi min ash-shaytanir rajim. What do you always say? A'udhu billahi as-sami' al-alim min ash-shaytanir rajim. We'll get to that. Can you say this? You can. Let me start, inshallah. When one intends to begin recitation, he first seeks protection by saying, A'udhu billahi min ash-shaytanir rajim. What does A'udhu billahi min ash-shaytanir rajim mean? A'udhu comes from a'udh. That you're seeking refuge, you're seeking protection, you're miskeen, you have no power, you have no protection. The only one you can get protection from is who? Allah. Do you see the shaitan? Do you see shaitan? Please don't. Hopefully you don't. If you don't see shaitan, then who can protect you from him? Only Allah can. So you're seeking protection from Allah who can protect you. Billah, ba al-isti'ana. You're getting help from Allah Azza wa Jal, seeking His help, seeking His aid. Billah, and which name are you using? Allah, lafz al-jalala. A'udhu billah, from who? Ash-shaytan. What does shaytan mean? It can either be from shatana, means ba'uda. Shaitan can come from shatana, which means he is ba'eed an rahmatillah, that he is very, very far from the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Shaitan, okay? Or it could be from shata yashitu, which means he's burned, ihtaraqa. Okay, it means burned. Both meanings fit shaitan, yes or no? Yes. He's burned, yes or no? Yes. Is he far from the mercy of Allah? Yes. So both meanings they kind of, both, either from shata or shatana, both would fit the meaning of shaitan. Shaitan is only from the jinn or also from the human? Shaitan min al-ins wal jinn. Some people, you need to seek protection from them even more so than the shayateen of the jinn because of how much corrupt they are. Okay? What does ar-rajim mean? What does ar-rajam mean? To stone. Okay, but over here, rajam doesn't mean to just stone. It also means that he is cursed. Remember the ayah we covered in the qissa of Ibrahim alayhi salam? لَإِن لَمْ تَنْتَهِ Ibrahim, Azar tells his son, if you don't stop Ibrahim, لَأَرْجُمَنَّكَ. لَأَرْجُمَنَّكَ could mean that he to physically stone, or that I'm going to curse you. لَأَرْجُمَنَّكَ, I'm going to harm you with words. So when you say مِنَ الشَّيْطَانِ الرَّجِيمِ, he's going to be the accursed shaitan. You see where it comes from? Rajam, rajim means marjum, okay? The one who is not physically stoned, but the one who is cursed. He's mal'oon. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. That's what it means, okay? There's some ahkam related to it. I'm going to go over it and then I'll mention some other things related to it, okay? As the majority of the scholars have said, you start with A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Some of the salaf say that you should do it. Some ulama hold the opinion that you should do it after reciting. I'm going to go into the opinions. Why? فَإِذَا قَرَأْتَ الْقُرْآنِ When you recite Qur'an, فَاسْتَعِذْ بِاللَّهِ So after you finish reciting Qur'an, then you do A'udhu. When do you do A'udhu billah? Before or after? All of the ulama, they say you do before. Dawood al-Zahiri, it's few scholars, they say it's after. Why? They say, when you recite Qur'an, فَاسْتَعِذْ بِاللَّهِ Allah didn't say فَاسْتَعِذْ بِاللَّهِ بefore you read Qur'an. He said, فَإِذَا قَرَأْتُ الْقُرْآنِ فَاسْتَعِذْ بِاللَّهِ. But this doesn't make sense in Arabic. It means فَإِذَا أَرَدْتُمُ الْقِرَاءَ When Allah says, يَا أَيُّهَا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا إِذَا قُمْتُمْ إِلَى الصَّلَاةِ When you stand up for salah, فَاغْسِلُوا وُجُوهَكُمْ Does it mean you go and do your wudu after your salah or before your salah? Of course. So when Allah is saying, إِذَا قُمْتُمْ إِلَى الصَّلَاةِ فَاغْسِلُوا Same thing here. إِذَا قَرَأْتُ الْقُرْآنَ فَاسْتَعِذْ Doesn't mean you do it after. It means you do it before. When you want to intend to recite Qur'an, you seek protection. What's the point of seeking protection before? Because what does shaitan try to do when you're praying salah? Waswasa, distracted. You're thinking about what am I going to eat for dinner? When is this dars going to finish so I can go home? When is this? Shaitan ya'tik. We're insan. That's why you say, A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Go away from me, shaitan. Go away from me. Only Allah can help me. So the interpretation of this verse, according to the majority of the scholars, is that when you have irada, when you seek to do Qur'an, then seek isti'adha. There's a few opinions. The majority of the ulama, they say that what's the hukum of doing, saying A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim before recitation? Is it fard? Is it sunnah? What is it? Is it mustahab? What is it? Fard? Wajib? Makruh? Huh? It's recommended. It's recommended that a person do it, okay? You could say it's mustahab because the Prophet ﷺ would do it sometimes and he would leave it. Sometimes. He would leave it other times. So what's the hukum of doing it? Are you sinful if you forget to do A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim? No. Dawood al-Zahiri, few scholars, they say it's wajib. That you must do it, okay? That you must do it. Because what? Fasta'id, is this a command, yes or no? So, al-amr lil-wujub, when there's a command, it's showing you that you have to do it. Okay, but the Prophet didn't do all the time. This shows you what it meant. So some scholars, they say it's wajib. Every time you must read, you must say, A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Okay, some scholars held the opinion that you have to do it wajib once in your life. That saying, A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim, marra fil umr is wajib. Some scholars held the opinion that it's only obligatory and wajib upon the Prophet ﷺ. These are minority opinions. The opinion is that what? What's the ruling? Mustahab. What's the ruling of A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim before recitation? Mustahab. Intah al-kalam. Recommended. When is it? When do you do isti'adha? Before or after? Before. Few scholars, they said after. That's not a ba'id. Before recitation, of course. What about adding on the... What about saying A'udhu billahi as-sami' al-alim minash shaitanir rajim? Is this permissible? Yes. Can you say this, yes or no? Yes or no? A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim is what is narrated, what's found in the Quran. Fasta'idh billahi minash shaitanir rajim. As-sami' al-alim is not here. But there are ahadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, where he mentions A'udhu billahi as-sami' al-alim minash shaitanir rajim. Many different ahadith. So could you add to A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim? Yes. There is this one that's narrated, but what if you found something that you found to be unique and it's not found in the hadith? Could you do it? Yes. Because man ahdath fi amrina hadha ma laysa minhu. Okay, but when you're talking about Allah and seeking protection, this is minhu. This is not ma laysa minhu. Okay? So it's a long discussion, but it's better. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم وريح نفسك. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. You should just say this. See, he has a mashallah very, very long one. وَسُلْطَانِهِ الْقَدِيمِ. This is the long, different seal you find in the books of adhkar and online. Long forms of isti'adha and seeking protection from the shaitan, with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala from shaitan al-rajim. Its ruling, seeking protection is recommended but not obligatory. It is recommended for every reciter, whether in salah or not. Outside of salah, do you say it loudly? What do you say a'udhu billahi min shaitan when you're reading Quran? If I'm about to read Quran, do I say a'udhu billahi loudly or no? Yes. If I'm reading quietly, do I say quietly? Yes, because I'm reading quietly. But if I'm reciting loudly in Fajr Quran, do we read it loudly, yes or no? Loudly. Sometimes we skip it, I know. It's mustahab. But do we do it not sometimes? Okay, maybe 4 out of the 7 days of the week. Do we not say a'udhu billahi loudly? Yes. Okay. But if there is a halaqah of Quran, only the first person who starts, or when the majlis starts, you do a'udhu billah. If I'm going to read, and then he's going to read, and then you're going to read, and then you're going to read, and everyone's going to read, don't say a'udhu billah every single time. Unless you're doing it to learn how to recite it properly. That's the only time. But other than that, you don't need to repeat it every single time. Only for the one who's starting the majlis, the one who's beginning, and if there is some pause and there's speech connected that is not related to Quran. Like let's say we talk about burgers, and then we go back to Quran. No, then you go and say a'udhu billahi min shaitanir rajim again. Okay? No, you don't say a'udhu billahi min burgers though. Because burgers, inshallah, is from the blessings of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Yeah, you still say it. Because shayateen al-ins are still there. And remember, only the big shayateen are locked up, not all of them. Okay? What about in salah? Do you say Allahu Akbar? The Shafi'is, do they say Bismillah out loud? Yes or no? Yes. The Shafi'is, if you ever see a Shafi'i lead salah, like Somali brothers, the Hufaz, what do they say? Do they say Bismillah out loud? Yes, because it's in their madhab. Okay? Going back to the qira'ah that was found in the place, in Mecca and whatnot. What about a'udhu billah? Do you say that loudly in salah? Allahu Akbar. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. No scholar says doing jahar bil isti'adha in salah. That's a mistake. So if you start the salah and you say a'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim, is a'udhu billah in the Quran? A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Is it part of the surah in the beginning? No. Bismillah, there is ikhtilaf between the qurra and then between the madhahib. But a'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim, is it part of the Quran? No. So when you say it in salah, you say it quietly. Aywa. It is recommended in prayer in each rak'ah. This is the Shafi'i madhab. It is recommended in salah in each rak'ah according to the sound opinion of our Shafi'i companions. According to the second opinion, it is only recommended in the first rak'ah, and if one neglected it in the first, then he says it in the second. Meaning the second opinion is that only in the first rak'ah you say a'udhu billah min shaitanir rajim, and then you don't have to say it in the rest of the rak'at. If you forget it in the first one, Shafi'i madhab, then you would say it in the second one. Okay. And if one neglected it in the first, then he says it in the second. It is recommended to seek refuge, a'udhu billahi min shaitanir rajim, after the first Allahu Akbar in the Salatul Janaza according to the soundest opinion. Wa sallallahu ala sayyidina wa nabiyina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Yes. So in the first takbirah, you say Allahu Akbar, you say a'udhu billahi min shaitanir rajim before you do Fatiha and whatnot. Yes. So the next lesson is going to be about the detailed rulings of Basmala, okay? Because I do muraja'ah of multiple books. I did revision of Shatibiyya and different books, and even Durr al-Masun. So I'm going to answer it next week, next class. Yeah, inshallah.
فإنما تولوا وجوهكم فثم وجه الله.
فأنت تصلي إلى